Okay, thank you very much, everyone, again, for the participations. As I said quite a few times, and thank you very much for, again, gathering together, again, discussing the teaching of our gracious kindness, compassionate teacher of the Buddha Shakyamuni. His teachings are loving kindness, compassion, non-violence, respect and appreciation for all the living beings. That is equal. That is his message, his teachings. And we are all following this teaching according our capabilities with joyful effort, courage and commitment and confidence, drawn to the earth and moving toward, leaning toward. According to Buddha's teaching in Buddhism, what we're doing together is one of the very beautiful things, beautiful, really can do in this our lives, the precious lives. We can do. We have so many things to do in the world, so many schedules, so many activities lined up one after another. There's endless. But among all that, to activating the love, joy, appreciation, respect, with compassion for all living beings is truly, according to Buddhism, is rewarding. Rewarding to ourselves, rewarding to the others. That's what in the always teaching said, you're making the meaning of lives. We're making the meaning of lives. It's not just that this is what we're developing. According to the teaching, we're not just going to leave behind with our old material existing wealth. When we leave this world, we go with this, according to teaching. That will assure our all the unknown destinations. It really will make sure your passage, our passage, not just yours, our passage will be bright, confident, calm, peaceful, as we are practicing what these teachings. This teaching of the Buddha is nothing any special or kind of extraordinary or something different. It's our basic nature. Love, kindness, compassion, respect and appreciation. That is goodness of ourself. What gracious teacher Buddha highlighted that. He put so many beautiful ways to activate it that we can go in that treasure book. Our treasure own box. Why we need that? Because due to our habit patterns, due to our misunderstandings, we are always looking for solutions outside. Outside, endless. According to Buddha teaching, we've been doing this from the beginningless times. We've been doing that continually. We will do that continuously, looking solution outside. But what we got? Still a dilemma, still fearful, and not sure, doubt and hesitation, skepticals, and uncomfortable, unpeaceful. Really, always we've been. It's not just a few of us. We all been in that situation. But when we're touching to our old call of true nature as Buddha taught, if we do that, really, it is very rewarding. It is bring the confidence, courage, and commitment. Yet, at the same time, we become more sensible, more thoughtful to ourselves and as well as our friends and family members and respect. That's what we want. We like to be harmony, peace, joy, kind, nice. That's what we want. This is what we're practicing. What we're discussing, it will bring. You can witness that why ourselves, and we can witness ourselves. So those are we kind of like highlight the thought with that, and then again in the teaching always reactivate our motivations, such as joy and appreciations. And then bodhicitta, thought for all living beings. That we all know. We heard. Intellectually we all know. But how much really we observed those teachings to our heart? We can test ourselves. We can witness to our own self how much I observed the bodhicittas to my heart and mind. We can test. And together with that, then in Vajrayana teaching always said, bring the purity realizations or open the door of the purities. According to Vajrayana teaching, everything is divine mandalas or mandala of enlightenment. Everything, both subject and object. But we don't realize that. We don't know that now. Why? Because we are so narrowed mind, our duality is just a habit pattern, is ticket, and we become so regiment. Our nature of the mind is open. There's no boundaries. There's no restrictions. Our mind, I'm talking, your mind and my mind, has no boundaries, no restrictions. But yet, we make boundaries. We make restrictions. Ourself is nobody made restriction and loaded to us. We did it. Then it narrowed our understanding and thinned our understanding. T-H-I-N, I believe, thinned. It just becomes so small. We are looking, our knowledge, what we have now, is looking through the whole of the sesame seed. Looking through, that's knowledge, what we have. Reality is open to everyone. No one is occupied. There is no registered and copyrights at all. It's open, widely. Then we don't see. We're looking through that whole of the sesame seed, and what we see? Always the same thing. Doubt and hesitation and ego, reflection of the ego clingings and self-importance, self-centered mind. That's what we did. That's what we see. That's what we're experiencing. That's what we are. So for that reason, gracious teacher Buddha Shakyamuni said, bring up the purity. The entire thing, everything is in purity status. It's not just something we are making up the purity. It is origin and nature. That's really in the teaching said. So bring those, at least now we bring up those thoughts. It is our practices. That's what will bring us to the perfection status. Practice makes perfect. So with this, again, we follow with our, again, great teacher, the embodiment of all the Buddhas were 3 times of His Holiness Dudjom Rinpoche. His teaching, which is essence teachings of the practices of the Buddha's teaching, entire Buddha teaching. That means what? From age, Buddha gave the age 35. Age 35, he started giving the teaching until age 81. This simple page is the essence of all those teachings. Really, it's all teaching, so simple, so direct, so kind of pointing out. And that's what we really follow me. We went slowly by slowly, kind of like went according to our time, and yet we explored a lot of things according to our capabilities. So all is aligned of the teachings. Teaching of the great teacher Buddha Shakyamuni, and as well as Gurupa and Masambhava, lineage masters. We really went those according to our capabilities. Went one after another. And today, again, we're going on this. So what we are now, and here, highlight the teaching. Here said, poor wealth of the practitioners. Poor wealth. We discussed that. We went there through those, each of those. Those started page, I mean, many of you already, if you participated, we went through this page 1, the last line of the page 1. So those are what? What for wealth? Devotion to the root teacher, and the love and affection to all the Vajra brothers and sisters, all beings, and then compassion of the Bodhisattva for all living beings, and understanding of the impermanent. Those are known as treasures of the practitioners. Why is it treasure? Because if we have this treasure, our practice of Dharma will be so rich. When, for example, many practitioners their practices are fading away. Almost they're going to retire their practices. But if we have these four wealth, Dharma practices will be always fresh, always rich, always with abundances of all good results. And what abundance? Confidence, abundance of confidence, abundance of the joy, abundance of the appreciations, abundance of the devotions, abundance of love and compassions, and abundance of the energetic to practices, not fading ways, not just going down or expiring or the retiring. It's everlasting, really powers. Therefore, it's called wealth. This wealth we need all the time. From the day one we practices, all the way to until we reach enlightenment. During the meditation or practicing time, and as well as during the post-meditations. We keep this wealth as much as we become more and more rich of our abundance or the spiritual quality or dharma or realizations really will become. And among that, what we discussed last time about the impermanent. Impermanent is something subject that looks like so casual, so ordinary, so basic. But reality, according to Buddhism, the impermanent is a big subject, big teaching, not just a subject. It's touching to the core of the nature, the core of the realities. Many teaching masters said, or this is also, this impermanent is one of the extraordinary teaching of our gracious teacher, Buddha Shakyamuni, that did not spoke clearly by any other great teachers. This is his extraordinary one of the teachings. When you have the realization of this impermanent, you have no difficulty to understand of what in the Buddhism is talking emptiness. Emptiness realization comes so easily according to teaching. When you have the impermanent realization. Those we discussed the last time, impermanent, subtle impermanent, and gross impermanent. We sentient beings only know or only detect the gross impermanent. Gross impermanent. That also we don't detect until it comes to end. That we know. Because our knowledge is gross. As I said earlier, our knowledge is looking through the sesame seed, whole of the sesame seed. Reality, everything is in this impermanent or this nature. Impermanent is nothing bad. It's nothing something that we're losing something. It's transforming, merging, reactivating. That's what the progress comes. If there is no permanent, impermanent, there is no progress. There is no change. Changes. It's all that. That changing and moving is spontaneously happening. That is what is known as, in the Buddha's teaching, interdependent coordination or interdependent. If I use simple word, interdependent. Why they call that? Because it's one single entity, not developing anything. One entity, one material, or one, if I say one particle has nothing can do, is all cooperated. Even one particle has so many particles according. It's all cooperated. Yet they all changing, cooperating so perfectly. That's what things are developing. So therefore, gracious teacher Buddha said, interdependent. They're all interconnected, interdependent. That's where things are happening. When you see that interdependent, that means that there is nothing substantially solid existing. For that reason, in Buddhism, what's called is all display, is all magics, is all dreams, this all bubbles, this all mirages, to ring that in our head or our mind. Gracious teacher used those all examples, or reflection moon in the waters. It's not just a Buddhist dogma. This is not just a Buddha making up that. It is. And that even now, modern physics, quantum physics are proving. I understand, I heard, that I'm sure you know more than that. Proving. Not just intellectually proving. According to Buddhism, when you have the realization, but the first bhumi, you see things exactly in the nugget eye. That's known as seeing part. Seeing. S-E-E-I-N-G, I think so, see. S-E-I-N-G, maybe. But you understand so what I'm talking, and that's more important. Seeing part. Or beholding. You're beholding. What are you really beholding? You're seeing the nature exactly as it is without a theory, without intellectual, without the conceptions. Now you see. What you started intellectually analyze or got something idea, and that presumption, whatever you got, now you proved. We proved. That's called seeing path. Path. Still we're in the path. Even you see, according to Buddhism, still we're going to advancing. Go up that. So, those are the things. So those are generally about the impermanent. Other day we discussed already that. But now this is gross impermanent, seeing that everything is impermanent. Impermanent. According to Buddha's teaching, what great teacher Buddha said, if you make offerings to the most noble disciples, such as Shariputra, Mangalputra, to make offerings all the time, or so many, for a long time, if you started thinking of the impermanent for one moment, which has more power. Buddha said, it has more power to think of the impermanent than making gifts, offering to the Shariputra and Mangalputra, and so forth. How you can see how much Buddha highlighted, how he emphasized of this importance of this. For that reason, many always in the teaching mentioned, this impermanent is so important. What it does immediately when we have the impermanent, it will loosen our grasping, clinging, our ego clingings. It really loosen up because the ego clinging is so tight and so regimented. When you have that impermanent thought, you're close to nature. And therefore, the strength and the identity of the ego is also going down. Self-importance is going down. And when that happens, what comes up? Love, kindness, compassion, joy and appreciation to ourselves, one's own self, to others, really will grow. That is right. What? For those reasons, always in the teaching, said, for example, in our practice, teaching, Mundo practices, there's 4 renunciations or 4 points that will reverse our grasping mind from samsara to the dharma. Those 4 points. One is impermanent. impermanent, reflecting those impermanent. For that reason, famous master known as Kara Gomchung. Kara Gomchung is very famous. And Potowai, in all those ancient time, or in 11th, 12th century, master of the Kadam schools of the Tibetan Buddhism. Kadam schools. And Kara Gomchung, and many masters say that Kara Gomchung was practicing of the Dzogchen and as well as Kadam teachings that come from Atisha's practice. But in their teachings, what they said, if you have the impermanent thought the first time, it will help us bring the fed, F-A-T-H, fed. It will make us bring fed in our heart. If you have the impermanent knowledge, impermanent, it will help to practicing the Dharma. So first, it will bring it will help to bring the fed. Second, it will help to the practicing Dharma. If you continue to keep that impermanent knowledge, it will help to accomplish or fulfillment of the practices. That's what this great master says. And also in the teaching said, if you have the impermanent or knowledge of impermanent, it will help to usher us to the Dharma. Usher us to the Dharma. And break down the clingings to the samsaras, everything. And when you continue to keep the impermanent, it will help to activate our joyful effort. It will bring more joyful effort. Joyful effort to the virtues, to the Dharma. And when you continue to keep this impermanent, it will help to bring wisdom in our realization. So the impermanent is so important every way for that reason. Because it is touching the knowledge of the impermanent, touching to the core of the way this relates to the are, relates to the is. So those are, for that reason, this is known as all together is wealth of the practitioners. Wealth. So after that is what we discussed. Now we go. So therefore, what His Holiness Dudjom Rinpoche said here are known as the four everlasting wealths of the practitioners and should be regarded as indispensables. Indispensables. What that means, as I said already earlier, indispensable. Keep this for wealth every occasions. During the practice occasions and during the post-practice occasions. If we keep this, we will be so practical. We will become very practical. And we'll become more, it will bring us more sensible understanding or more senses. And we more common senses. And it will bring really very, very kind of practical. It will make us very practical. Sense of practical is something harmonious, peaceful in this life, but at the same time, it will provide as a big support to our destination in the future. So those are the teaching we go. Now we go to the next one. This next one from this from here, the middle of this, Lama and the Yadams are inseparably one's own mind. From that on is all the way to end is now teachings, essence teachings of the Inner Tantras. Inner Tantras. What are those Inner Tantras? Of course, you all know. I will list the names. That is Mahayoga Tantra, Anuyoga Tantra, Inner Tantra. So this is the essence of the practices of all Inner Tantras. So that means what we've been discussing until now is the foundation of the practices. Foundation of practice of the Inner Tantras. Once we have this, then we receive the teaching, and then we begin to practice of these following things. The first among that is here what? Said the Lama. The Lama and the Yadams Yadams are inseparable from one's own mind. That's it. According to Vajrayana teaching, there's always have the synonyms of the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Different name. That means a different name that you know. No. Those are known as Guru, deity, Dakinis, or in a Tibetan word, Lama, Yedam, and then Khandros. Those are. What in the teaching said, all the great masters always said, Lama is root of blessings. And Yedam is root of accomplishment. And Dakini is root of all the fulfillments or the activities. Root, again, I'm sure you know that, my pronunciation, that, but R-O-O-T, I believe, root. Also, I can change the root, maybe some others terminologies. Root, instead, root, source. Source. So, Lama is source of blessings. Yadams are source of accomplishment. And Dakinis are source of activity of fulfillments. So those are ways. So those are the three. And they are, according again in the teaching said, synonyms of the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. If that so, how that happens? According to the teaching said, Lama representing for example, Lama representing the Buddha, if we say one, three different. And Yedam representing the Dharma. And Dakini representing the Sangha members. So those are three kind of groups. Lama is the Tibetan word which is Sanskrit Guru. Guru representing Buddha, and deity representing the Dharma, and in Dakini or Khandroma representing the Sangha members. That is. And then in the teaching said, even the Lama alone is representing all those threes. What though? Also all three. Lama, deity, and Dakinis. Those are all presented by the Lama. And how that is? According to the teaching said Lama, they say, the realization of a Lama, realization of Lama representing the Yadams. And in the activities of the Lama is representing the Dakinis. And the Lama, that him or herself, represented the Sangha members. Or maybe I didn't do the correct way. That. If I say more, again, one more time. And Lama representing as, again, Lama represented Lama. All Lama represented, the external Lama represented Sangha members. And the teaching of Lama represented Sangha. And as well as realization of the Lama represented Buddhas. So that way, Buddha, Dharma, Sanghas. I think Buddha, Dharma, Sangha and Guru, Deva, Dakinis. In that way. And then, what it is, again, in Lama we're talking now. Lama is teachers. Other day, we discussed about the qualified of the Lamas. Generally, we also went, there is 4 groups of the teachers. Lama means, if I translate it now, teacher. So there is 4 groups of the teachers, according to the Buddha teaching. There is many. But first one is the teacher, the Sambhokayas. Group of Sambhokayas are known as also teachers. Second group is the Nirmakaya Buddhas, are known as also teachers. Third is the great Bodhisattvas. Groups are known as teachers. The fourth group is then, other day I maybe mentioned ordinary teachers. But if I translate it more kind of simple way, the groups of the human teachers. So human teacher. So that means how many groups? How many teachers? Human teacher, Bodhisattva teachers, Nirmakaya teachers, and the Sambhogaya teachers. Among those four teachers, what we have the capability to connect it, most time is human teachers. Bodhisattva teachers also difficult to ask, to find really, truly. And Nirmakaya Buddha even more difficult to find. And the Sambhogaya teachers even more difficult. According to Buddha's teaching, those who have the capability to receive the teaching from Sambhogaya Buddha, they have to be in the highest stage of the path. At the path, 9th path, and 10th Bhumi paths. Bhumis, or 9, at Bhumi, 9th Bhumi, 10th Bhumis. Those they can receive. For us, is the human teachers. That's what we can connect, most of us. Maybe some has capability to connect those higher ones. But mostly is human teachers. For that reason, in the gracious teacher, Buddha Shakyamuni gave those old qualifications. Even as human teacher, it needs qualifications. We went through those last time. Qualification of the according Buddha's teaching, Vinaya teaching, Mahayana teaching, Vajrayana teaching. We went 3 groups, even though there's so many explanations and all that qualification of the teachers. We went through those, one after another. Most of all those we also summarized. As great master Jamgon Kongtrul said in the teachings, those are all qualifications are what he said. These 5 or the 4 or 5, this I will list this. I said earlier, the first one is one who has the vows and the vows and the samaya, one who is keeping the vows and the samayas and have the moralities. So that means conduct. Simple way say, have good conduct. That is one. Second, that teacher has lineage teachings, unbroken lineage teaching, from the Buddha Samhita or from Buddha Shakyamuni to Guru Rinpoche to all the way now who had lineage teachings. Lineage teachings on that. So that is second. Third is that lineage teaching is not diluted, not spoiled, not scarred or stained. Pure lineage teaching. Third. Fourth one is who has knowledge of all the teachings and also knowledge of the practices. Practice, not just only knows, but practitioners. Keeping the teaching with the practices, both scriptural and realization levels. And that is in Tibet called Long Tokpa. Long Chu, Tokpa, keeping up practices. And the last one has great compassion. Bodhicitta, that means have the compassion, concern, caring thoughts for all the beings with great compassion. Those are the great master, Jamgon Kongtrul, summarized that, he highlighted that. So that is qualification. If you see that qualified teacher, then, or great master, what Shanti Deva said, even true, he said. I said those things before, and again I will say, true. The teacher, the qualified teacher who should stay, who have the vows of the Bodhisattva vows. Keeping the Bodhisattva vows a course of their lives. That vow, that means courage, commitment, determination, and keeping up the vows. What vow actually bodhicitta vow? It means vows of the bodhicitta is wishing bodhicitta, actualizing bodhicitta vows. Keeping up that. So that is the ground, one. And then, second, the one who knows the Mahayana teachings. All the teachings, if I say, all teachings, that true, call it as the call it, or true, that true, at the call it of the human teachers. That's what really Great Master Shantideva said. So those are all. But when you see that teacher, then, and what here said, here, said that this Lama and the Yadams are inseparable from one's own mind. So that qualified teacher is so special and so important, but yet, according to Vajrayana teaching or the Dzogchen level, then qualified teacher is no other than one's own mind. Nature of the mind is representing of that qualified teachers. That means to have that realization, we maintained also same time vows, or this bodhicitta vows, or the vows of the teachings according to what you received. At the same time, your devotions, your courage, and a commitment to the practice of Dharma. And then, when you come to the meditation and practice, and then teacher is no other than in one's own nature of the mind. And the nature of the mind is not just only the teacher, essence of a teacher, but here, said His Holiness, also is the nature of one's own mind is the essence of the Yadam deities. That also indicated nature of the mind is also essence of the Dakinis. So this, our own mind, nature of the mind is embodiment of the Guru, deity, and the Dakinis. That is what it is. And how that is, according to the teaching, again, the realizations of the Guru, the realization, where the realization actually happening, is in the mind. The mind. That nature of the realization is Dharma. This is as well as is Buddha's. So therefore, what in the teaching said, again, nature of the mind, emptiness aspect of nature of the mind is Dharmakaya Buddhas. Dharmakaya or Lama Dharmakayas. Clarity aspect of the nature is Lama Sambhokaya Lamas. Display aspect of the nature of the mind is Nirmakaya Lama or the Dakini of the Lamas. Or Dakinis. So that means emptiness, clarity, and the display of our mind is Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, and Guru, Deva, Dakinis. And the Dharmakaya, Buddhakaya, Sambhokaya, and the Nirmakaya, all those three within this nature of the mind. So that is how we're going to see that. According to the teaching, said, for example, now you begin to practice. When you practice, and first you do follow exactly instructions, what you received, and do all those your lineage prayers. And then you do also Ngundo practices. As this is so important, Ngundo practice. So practice that. And that is, we visualize at that time, externally, Guru. And Guru, who is the embodiment of such as embodiment of all the Gurus, is Guru Pema Sambhava. That we meditated above or in front of you. Above your head, or above our head, and in front of our head. We visualize. Guru Pema Sambhava, and then above the head of the Guru Pema Sambhava, or on the top of in the sky, and then we can meditate all the lineage masters of the masters, lineage masters. Those in the Nyingma schools of Tibetan Buddhism is 3 lineages. Mind-to-mind, or lamas of the mind-to-mind transmission lineages, and lamas of the symbolic transmission lineages, lamas of the oral transmission lineages. Then those are the general lineages. In specifically Nyingma, Tenma, hidden treasure lineage, there is 3 addition lineages. That means then it makes 6 lineages. And those are first it is known as is lineage of the appointment and the predictions. Lineage of the appointment and the predictions. Those I am translating. Kabab longting je jupa in Tibet. Kabab longting je jupa. Mola wankor je jupa. And Khandro te je jupa. Those are the Tibetan, and I'm translating this Kabab longting jupa appointment and prediction lineages. And the second lineage is and empowerment and aspiration lineages. And third is Dakini-handed lineages. That's what I've translated. I'm translating that. So that's what it means. These Tenma teachings, generally all those great Tetums came one after another throughout the centuries, from maybe beginning of the 10th century, or not 10th, around 10th centuries, until now. They all are blessed by the Guru Emma Sambhava and the Wisdom Dakinishim soldiers. Either ancient time, in the 8th century, or now, when they reveal it, just before that. Can be. And that means now, therefore, then when those individuals, those great Tetons, those who reveal are known as Tetons, they are designated, appointed by the Guru Emma Sambhava and the Wisdom Dakinishim Soja, and they're going to reveal the teachings. That teaching also other treasures to benefit for others. And at the same time, they give predictions, means instructions, how you're going to do, what the time you do, and all those. Those are known as Kabab Lungti Jipa. I translated appointment and empowerment something, or prophetic lineages. And the third one is, once that happened, and then third one is, when Guru Pema Sambhava, Wisdom Dakinishim Soja, and as well as those great Tetum themselves, all put together intentions, their aspirations together, they're going to reveal. And Guru Pema Sambhava, Yim Soja, they are, so this, may this happen. They do the prayer, kind of like sealing up, more confirmed, reaffirming with their power of the mind to that individual, same time to that individual, those statements, also reconnecting their devotions and their connection to Guru Pema Sambhava Sojas. So that is then reside empowerment. Whatever they're going to reveal the teachings, reside empowerment and teachings. So third one, once that happened, then Dakini handed the lineages. And then lineage, those teachings are then handed by Yeshim Soja or some other Dakini to those Tetungs. And handed or indicated, they will support to reveal those. So those are 3 extra lineages. All those lineage masters are right above the Guru Pema Sambhavas. And the right side of the Guru Pema Sambhava then is in the teaching said, and the Buddha Shakya Munimis, and all the Buddhas of the 1,000 Buddhas and the Buddhas of the 3 times, all are there. And the left side of the Guru Pema Sambhava is such as the 8 Bodhisattvas and all the Arhatas and everything, all that. In front of that, then the Guru Pema Sambhava, in front of that, Guru Pema Sambhava is then all the deities, such as the Vajakalayas, surrounded by with Hayagiva, Yamitaka, and 8 Herukas, and as well as Dharmas. as well as all the Dharmapalas, so that, this all filled in the backside of Guru Pema Sambhava, all the books and teachings that in the form of the rainbow lights. And then there was every deities and all those Buddhas and Guru, Deva and Dakini, all massive right in front of you, and then do the prayer practices, meditate. Or if you can feel it's too much that, and then we mean all that we can be summarized in one single state as a Guru Pema Sambhava. Guru Pema Sambhava embody everything. All the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, Guru Deva and Dakini, those are known as what? In Tibet they said Kundi Narula, which means the system of the wish-fulfilling jewel that granted all the wishes. So Guru Pema Sambhava is like that. In transcendental Western rainbows. And then you do the chanting, prayers, and receiving blessings as you receive the instructions. And finally, then Guru Pema Sambhava, all the lineage masses dissolve at the end after receiving blessings and merge to your own mind, the nature of the mind. And then our own mind is the embodiment of all those, what we discussed already, nature of the mind, everything. Then relax, meditate, and meditate in the Dzogchen status. Or meditate, whatever you meditate. So meditation is nothing but relaxing your mind in a natural status. Not in the past, not in the future. Right on the present status. That is what meditation. Be in the present. Presence is nature status. Past and the futures are in conceptions. Present is fresh, naked state according to teaching. Relaxing that status. Then if you like to do more practices, if you have time, then follow this. This is what he said. Now here said this all from this. In the development stages, meditation, all appearance can be empty in the moon and reflections. And then all the repetition and underness as sound emptiness of the mantras. And so now is the Vajrayana teachings, now continually. And the Vajrayana teaching can be divided, not can be, is divided into true guru practices. Those are, you all know, visualization and dissolving stages. Those are different, kind of more simple names. Or in the teaching said, creation stages and completion stages. So if I use both those terminologies, the creation stage of the visualization, completion stage of the dissolving, these are the true stage practices. In the Vajrayana teaching, all the teachings of Vajrayana are encompassed in these two stages. After you did the Guru Yoga or meditation on the Guru or practices, now you begin to engaging of the more strongly practices in the Vajrayana practices. So this Vajrayana practice is known as true. You all know. I'm not talking something new. But this practice of the two practices, another way if I say, there is three practices. Three practices. That is known as three Vajra. Vajra form practices, Vajra sound practices, Vajra mind practices. These three Vajra is actually the entire universe, as I said earlier, and you know already. Of course, you receive so many teachings from many great masters, so you know this already in this status. This is originally already that status. To activate that, now we're doing these three Vajras, these three practices. That three Vajra is already pure in this state, as we discussed earlier. Everything is pure. Everything is in enlightened status. But we don't see that now. Now, why we don't see? Due to the habitual patterns, or due to the cataracts of our habitual pattern, we don't see. In order to see that, break through the cataracts, then the great teacher Buddha Shakyamuni gave these skillful means of teachings. Skillful means of teaching, which is known as visualization or creation stages. Instantly, we are visualizing everything is in enlightened status. That instantly what we are visualizing, even though this moment looks like we are imagining, we are making up things. But according to Buddha teaching, even though it looks like making up, but it is lined up with the true nature, truth as it is. Truth is pure. Truth is enlightened. We don't see that, as we spoke so many times. But this time, forcefully, we are activating that purity status. Purity status. Three Vajra status. How that started? From our mind. From our mind. When we see actually things, when we tell that, oh, I see, I heard, I know. Who is saying that? No, nothing else besides the mind. Mind is making everything. It's true. Mind is, according to Buddhism, or Vajrayana Buddhism, or the majority of Buddhism, mind is a cradle of every our environments. And now, we are activating the way things are. By the teaching of the Buddha, where things are. So we visualize. What do we visualize? Subject is pure, object is pure, and between that is all pure. What means pure? I maybe should use word enlightened. Subject is enlightened, object is enlightened, and between whatever there is all enlightened. That enlightenment is never changed. And never change, will not going to change. In order to refer that knowledge in the Buddha's teaching known as Vajra. Vajra means Sanskrit word, but what means that is it will translate into English, as you all know, diamond. According to the conception of the word, diamond never going to change. Diamond will be diamond. That is what it says. The nature is not going to change. Even our conception is diluted and changing wrongly that, but nature never changed. The purity never changed. So therefore it's called Vajras. Now to bring up the realization of the Vajra of the forms, all these forms are in enlightened state. For that reason is known as visualization. Here, said all these forms are in like development stages. Meditated, all the appearance are emptiness, moon in the reflections. It's all enlightened. All enlightened as enlightenment, emptiness. Everything is enlightened is as reflection in the moon, in the water. That in the Buddha teaching, for example, in the Sutra teaching, Buddha gave those teachings. Form is emptiness, emptiness form. Now, in Vajrayana teaching, that's the same thing, but it's enlightened. Enlightened form, it is emptiness. What is enlightened? Those are all those inner tantras, such as Gohengarbha tantras, forms are the Buddha Vairochanas. All five aggregates, if I use the word, five aggregates are the five Dhyana Buddhas. Five aggregates. Five Dhyana Buddhas. This is not just making our joking. According to Buddha's teaching, in a sense, it is. all enlightened. So now, this visualization is to bring up that way things are. That is the creation stage of the this moment we need creation because due to our habitual patterns. We don't see, but forcefully we are waking up. And that starts from our mind. Our mind is also empty. Empty, yet is pure. That reflecting, begin to see the ordinary nature. What many times in the teaching often said, Buddha nature. Now Buddha nature is not just a Buddha nature. Buddha nature is wake it up. Exactly where things are. So that's it. And then this visualization is you all know. It started with the three samadhis. Three samadhis. Those are, I just listed them because you all know. Such as samadhi, manifestation samadhi, and seed samadhis. Or samadhi is a Sanskrit word, or the meditation. Suchness meditation, all arising meditation, and seed meditation. Through that, developing all these visualizations. And then we see everything. Then, all these sadhanas we follow. Then the teachings you follow. That is what sadhanas do. The next one is the meditation on the utterance of the sound emptiness of mantras. Then, second is not just only the forms are enlightened, the sound is enlightened. What in the world we have actually now, according to Vajrayana Buddhism or the Buddhism? Form, sound, mind, and spaces. That's it. There's nothing else besides form. F-O-R-M, I think, forms, sound, mind, and space. That's it. So all this is enlightened. All three is enlightened. That is what? Three enlightened states, the Vajrayana teaching, known three Vajra states. And that means unchangeable enlightened. They're not going to change. It's enlightened. So sound is enlightened. And that means, so that is what to see this. And to do these practices, and then to start that enlightenment, sound of the enlightenment, then in Vajrayana teaching, give a lot of instructions of how to recite in the mantras. Mantras. That mantra, what we recite in mantra, is not just only that. That sound is as a ripple, is reflecting to all the sound system of the world, and is reflecting to all the wind of the world. The all blended in perfectly and become the voice, sound of enlightenment. What that sound of enlightenment may be, is sound of loving kindness, compassion, wisdoms, blended in that all in the appearing in the sound. It's all enlightened, all in that status. That sound is also as nature is emptiness and appearance. Emptiness, as here teaching said this. All sound emptiness. Everything is in emptiness. There's no substantial solid existing. It's transforming, changing, merging. So that is Vajra mind, Vajra sound systems. Then next one is then explaining about all this wisdom mind or the Vajra mind all the way through this. Next one, until the end of this, is all teaching, and whenever you say use the word, is all Dzogchen teachings. All this is Dzogchen teachings, or is the teachings of the meditation. So that today I will stop here, and the next week I'm going to go over this briefly. I'm going to concluding of this hard advised teachings. Many of you all receive instructions of the Dzogchen, or you all receive the teachings of the meditation. So therefore, but it is again we go through this and through that. So now what we discuss among the three Vajras, Vajra body, Vajra speech and Vajra sound. Now we talk with the next week, we talk with the Vajra mind, or the, Vajra mind enlightened nature. We talk this. And that is my talk for today, and thank you very much. Again, it's been a long time today. Sorry, we talk a little longer time, but we talk next week. This we completed. So I thought, in thinking of my mind, I like to complete this, and then kind of like I went carried with all those different kind of what's it called, blah blah blah. So many, but thank you. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much for your patience, for your understanding, and now we do short dedication. I mean, 1 minute sitting, and then we do the short dedication. That we completed the first session, and then second session we begin with again healing practices. As I said, Dharmapala, some of those practices. Again, thank you, Traki Delis. Hopefully, see you next week. Next week, I'm going to talk what's called on the Saturday. 3:30, I'm going to take away our two wonderful lamas teaching on the Ngondro. So I will take kind of away that, and I will try to enter in that. But otherwise, our two wonderful Lama Laya and Lama Trapka are really giving wonderful teachings and inspiring, encouraging to all of us by doing the Ngondro practices. Even you complete the Ngondro practices, is so good to do again, to touch base. Touch base is always good, or touch to our home status is home, sweet home. From there we develop and we can do. So it's so wonderful participating in Ngondro practices. And this short Ngondro is also our Ngondro practice is so short. Among all the Ngondros, there's so many versions of the Ngondros, but this is a really short one. Timely teaching of His Holiness Dudjom Rinpoche or his predecessor of the Dudjom. Dudjom is so special, so concise, it is so beautiful. So thank you so much, everyone. Angatashi Delais. Okay. If you have this booklet, open prayer booklet, and we do one stanza or one verse of the dedication prayers, which is page 32 in English. By this merit, may all obtain omniscience, may defeat the enemy wrongdoing. From the stormy waves of the birth, old age, and sickness and death, from the ocean of the samsara, may I free all beings.